We will start with a small exploration, and then we will move on to the questions or different sharing that you may have. So you can simply sit comfortably if you want to, and you can close your eyes. Simply notice the actuality that is right here, experience as it is, without effort or struggle. Notice that right now, at this very moment, nothing is required. You have nothing to do. You don't have to pretend to be someone. You don't have to resolve anything. You don't have to save anyone. Notice how simple experience is here. Simply, easily, and obviously. Also, notice that you don't have to conceptualize what is present. That is, you don't need thoughts to tell you what is present. You don't need the voice that is describing everything. This voice is a conceptual frame that is constantly speaking and trying to describe, trying to resolve, trying to put limits and boundaries everywhere. But notice that you don't need thoughts to be aware of experience, to be in contact with what is actually present, with this experience that is here. So learn to be sensitive to experience in a non-conceptual way. That simply means to engage with experience, or to notice that you are already and constantly engaged with experience effortlessly. And that thought itself, the voice that is speaking, is itself part of experience. So there is no need to struggle with thoughts. Because thought is an experience appearing. No, effortlessly. So thought may have its own story about what is present, about what is experience, about what is reality, about what you are, about what other are, about what is sensation, about this, about that. That's a story. It's a thought. That's the experience of the conceptual layer appearing now, here, in your experience. Notice that your experience can be named or differentiated in three different aspects, which is thoughts, perception, and sensation. And now instead of fo focusing on thoughts, see that there is this specific quality of sensing that we name my body. And notice that my body is a word, but the actual experience is a vibration. And because the word vibration is more accurate, it's more accurate to say, instead of saying my body, to say I'm aware of sensations. So right now, be in touch with that. Be sensitive to this field of sensation that is present right here, right now, and learn to engage with it without concept. It is as soon as there is an experience of sensation that appear, there will be a narration about it. Those sensation is my hand. This sensation is my feet. This sensation are a chair. This sensation is this. This is the thoughts. But learn to engage, be sensitive to the quality of the experience of sensing right here, right now. If you're able to to feel these sensations without being hypnotized by the thoughts, you will see that it's a complete different dimension. Sensation do not ask you anything. There is no story, there is no past, there is no future, there is no trauma, there is no sadness, there is no emotions. There is intensity and softness, compression and expansion, but there is no story there. This is one very simple, very profound exploration to learn to differentiate between the different quality of experience. One is thought with the story, conceptual, the narration, the identity, a lot of different things in time that is appearing in thoughts. And another aspect of experience is sensing, which is a completely different dimension. Even if they are not separated, but they are completely different in how you engage with it. So we will slowly close this exploration. It's a small exploration of learning to differentiate between thoughts and sensing. It is not a conceptual differentiation. It's to feel the difference, to feel the difference in engaging with thoughts and engaging with sensation without the layer of thinking. The beginning may not seem like much, but by learning to differentiate between both of them, emotion with the emotional up and down and drama will drop very fast, because when we start to feel and learn that an emotion do not have story, to be with the emotion will be way more easier and even enjoyable. All of the spectrum, all of the emotional spectrum, it's a miracle to feel. But it's a horrible experience if you add stories upon it about a person, about goals, about failure, about death, about birth, about all of this drama. So slowly, you can open your eyes very, very slowly. If there is any question or sharing, it's an open mic.
Hi, David.
Hello, Tammy.
I guess I will say that, first of all, thank you as always for the beautiful exploration meditation. Yeah, we had spoken last time about exploring some things, and I had a day, like my thought after this as we came back was like, well, sure, I could do it now because it's the outer experience is relatively easy. I'm outside in a park. It's warm out. It's not too noisy. It's not too dangerous. Like things are relatively calm in this moment. So it allowed me to a little bit let go of the mind that is hypervigilant and watching out for survival danger, and a little bit go into just experiencing without naming and sensing. and going into the realm of sensation rather than labeling and naming and thinking about it. Um, and I had a day like this a few days ago where I had the morning off and I gave myself the afternoon. Like I didn't interact with a lot of people. I was by myself. I did a lot of meditation. I did a little bit of body work and I worked on it all day of incorporating this stuff into my day. So I think in the past, like years ago when I had tried meditation, I was waiting for external quiet and peace so that I could have internal quiet and peace, and any noise was like a disturbance. And in this way that we're doing, it's more like including what appears in the exploration. So it makes it much less nerve wracking because it's not like, oh, it messed it up. Now there was a noise. I have to start over. Like it was it was like, I'll never find peace. So this is a much more real and real world way of doing things. So it was a fabulous day. There was no phone calls. There was no social interaction really. I did end up going out in the evening and taking a long walk. There was some worry about stuff and watching out for things that was done. But in general, I was just trying to notice what is sensation, what is thought, not get too lost in thought, and just come back to naming, what is the sensation, what is the sound, and what is going into my brain patterns again. I guess that's like a report back. And again, I put it down by saying, oh, those days were kind of easy. I didn't have to deal with anyone or anything and just with myself. But um, I guess um, my question still is similar in terms of, or I guess I don't have to say that. I could say, so that's where I'm kind of at of like, I can have those moments and those days, and then I get sucked back into the craziness of my mind patterns. And mostly, in other words, where I feel it's like the usual pulls that I have for years of survival, which revolve around several main questions of my life that feels like life or death, that feels really important, that suck me in each time. Um, and then there's also interacting with people, which puts me on a whole other plane, which feels like life or death or survival in a whole other way as well. And next week, I'm supposed to be going away with family. And so this is all going to be challenged in another way as well. And I guess I would just be wondering, um, yeah, how to continue to pursue this stuff in the face of life when I find that, when I'm not like on a day when people are writing in, even just writing in on WhatsApp groups or whatever, and then each ping, 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 it's every few minutes and it's is this important, is it not, does it need to be answered or not, which emoji should I put, is this something, how will this affect, so it draws really back into the brain patterns not to talk about when I'm live or face to face with actual people, and everything feels like I need to put on my face again, I need to be the Tammy character. um I need to um yeah um or else I'll mess everything up. In other words, it really feels like a friction or a pulling between going into the spiritual exploration or going into realization or understanding, and then the need to still function on the human level, whether it's at work, whether it's in um, speaking to people in my life, most of which are long-standing people or family, that there's a lot of stuff sitting there, and then the brain goes crazy with wonderings and as I'm changing patterns, and it's just a ton of analysis and wondering. So it's, I guess, that pull between how do I navigate this and moving forward between like going into the stuff and then the need to be something or someone and manage my life well. I don't know if any of that makes sense, but
You still make a difference between exploring reality and day-to-day life. There is no distinction. Day-to-day life is an expression of reality. And you will see the less you make a difference, the more you will see that your day-to-day life is not your day-to-day life. Yeah. Your day-to-day life, it's a miracle of a mix of of infinite patterns that melt and shift and get together, and it's it's a mystery. But what happened is there's a part in you that we call the mind, or the finite mind, you know, that that start to make interpretation, start to reduce infinity into little boxes. And those boxes in the visual field is pixels, it's a square of light. In the sound is in the hearing is some kind of the melody, the different tone of sound. The field of sensing, it's a spectrum of intensity. But nevertheless, it's not like that. It's an interpretation. And it's not like one is better than another. It's it's a powerful recognition when you realize that your experience is reality itself showing up. No matter how it seemed to be, this fact never change.
so when I'm differentiating between like a quiet day where I don't have to interact with family or with work and days that I do, you're saying there's no difference. It's still just reality showing up, and I don't need to go into like, I never have to go into like psychology or analysis or defining motives. Like, I never need to go into that kind of brain or that kind of thinking, even to get by in my day-to-day life.
Well, there is a practicality. There is a logistic in the human life, right? If you want to pay your taxes, you have to find how much you have. If you want to take care of your body, you have to wash your teeth, and if you want to wash your teeth, you need to have a teeth brush, and I mean there's all of this. If you want to travel to see your family or friends, you have to look at the timetable for the bus or buy a flight ticket, and you have to have a watch at time. So all of this, it's fine. I'm not arguing about this functioning of human life, this level. What I'm talking about is you cannot compare yesterday with now, because the memory of yesterday is appearing now already. So you have no way to know if the memory was like this or not. You don't know. You have a memory of yesterday. So you cannot say yesterday I was more spiritual than today. Yesterday I was in retreat, so my life was beautiful, and now I'm in the city in my boring work, and my life is misery, it's terrible. But you use a memory of the past, yes, to contrast and to judge an interpretation of now. But both the memory and the interpretation are both thoughts. So you take a thought about the past, a thought that they're appearing right now, and in fact they are both appearing now, and they seem to be in conflict, but they are both thoughts. There's no conflict. There's an appearance of conflict in the field of thinking. When you start to see this, you see that when you engage in trying to resolve things, in fact, you are you are buying the story. You said to be hypnotized by the story.
So how would I put those principles that you've just laid out in terms of dealing with family members? Like right now, like I've been going through a process for the last 2 years of, in other words, how does this non-dual thing relate, or do we deal with this separately as a different thing of like realizing complex PTSD? Maybe people haven't been treating me as nicely. Maybe there's a reason for hypervigilance, and then changing my whole relationship and attitude towards these people, realizing it's on me. I have to change all these kind of things that I have false ideas about who they are, what they are, and what I can expect, and living not in a concurrence with reality, but with my skewed view of who these people are and who they should be and who they are, and telling myself stories about what is rather than seeing what is and admitting what is. And I'm trying to change all this, and also not, and also kind of protect myself. So I guess in the context of like going through changes and stuff, and having been through like trying to analyze situations and see things differently and pull things, like in the context of relating to these people, what kind of state do I go in? Do I like ignore the exploration at that point, or is there any value or need to go into exploration if I'm coming to see that people may have not been very nice or kind and I need to protect myself? I don't know. In other words, what is the, like, how would I move forward with this exploration if I'm with these people for a week? And, or maybe it's not the time to do this, or what can be of value and of help, and how I relate to people, because that's a place where I feel I cannot do this work. I just get carried away with my brain.
You have to notice that first, you are not in charge of Tammy's life. Yeah, life itself is in charge. So if you have an impulse to do therapy, uh, familiar therapy, because the impulse of doing this is come from life itself, and then the possibility to actually do it comes also from life itself. Because maybe you want to do therapy, but you don't have the means to get it right. But everything comes to life, come from life itself. The impulse to do something, and the possibility to actually to do it actually. Everything it's an expression. So there's nothing wrong if you are called to do some kind of therapy work. Nice, that's great. You have to be sensitive and intelligent by doing it, but that's fine. Why not? If you feel that is needed, just like if you have a broken bone, you maybe have the impulse to go to a doctor and do something about it. You don't have to. You can live with a broken bone, but maybe pain will, is- will, will create the impulse to go to the hospital. Exactly the same with suffering in a relationship or conflict in a relationship. With enough conflict, enough suffering, you will maybe be drawn to find some kind of solution. And there's nothing wrong with this. This is just the human game, right?
But
That's fine.
it's going into stories. So is there ever a place for going into story? In other words, you know, everything is a story, right? This person is my mother. She gave birth to me. She's been like, and anything, any memory, in other words, anything beyond, there's a body that seems to be standing next to me. And even that we're not sure of here. It's like everything is stories. Is it ever helpful to go into story and saying, historically, this person has done X and Y, maybe stop doing A and B next to them? Like, is there ever any
Yeah,
value in?
there is value if you perceive value, but value is always subjective. It's never absolute. So if it's valuable to you, it's valuable to you. Who am I to say it's not valuable? The bot But non-duality is not about this. Non-duality is not about having a better experience, right? But it's not because it's not about having a better experience that you don't have, that trying to have a better experience or not is not, it has nothing to do with non-duality, really. Non-duality is the freedom from all of those stories, is the freedom of believing that there's a problem to be solved. The limitation with therapy, most of the therapy, not say all, because now there's so many that, but the only dilemma from a perspective is like they start with two different assumptions that they are not questioned often in therapy. The first is you are a person. You are an individual existing in a body. And the second assumption is like the one who is improving is the person. Yeah? But those two assumptions are not true.
But we can just, if we take away the bodies, we could just say unraveling patterns of suffering which have existed for a long time, and maybe seeing them and dissolving them so that there's less suffering for me and those around me.
Yeah, that's a nice story, and that's perfect. No, that's fine. I mean, why not? Why not? That's fine. But this is already the recognition that it's a story. I'm not judging the story because this is what we've got, right? This is the only game. So that's fine. But if you notice, where is yesterday? Where is my traumatic childhood? Where it is?
It lives on in the hypervigilance, in the fear, and the brain patterns, and in what is experienced today.
Yeah, and what are you experiencing right now?
Never calm, always tense, overthinking, fear of life, fear of doing things.
Yeah, over tense is sensations.
Mm-hmm.
Overthinking is thoughts. And fear, it's a mixture of sensation and thoughts. It's where emotion and where sensation and thoughts overlap. This is what we call an emotion. But you are in contact with your experience only, which is thinking and sensing. You tell me my sensing is tense, is this and that. My thoughts are this and this and that. And that,
Mm-hmm.
okay, I hear you. And I'm not saying you do nothing about it. I'm just pointing to the fact that you are engaged. You know only you experience as it is right now.
Mm-hmm.
So
So to
right
answer,
now, there is no childhood trauma. Right now, there is a pattern of experience within which there is some kind of differentiation that I call sensation and thoughts, and within which I start to perceive a body, within which I start to perceive body parts, within which I perceive tension, within which I interpret this tension as good and bad, within which I start to put the layer of childhood and time and identity and control and good and bad and morality. But right now, all of this is not, it's simply experience appearing right now to you. And I say simply in the sense that experience is infinite, so it's a huge, infinite confusion field because there's no resolution and there's no start. But but it is always the same. It's always experience that is here. It never changes that way. The essence never change.
So to answer my original question, if I understand the answer that has arisen from our discussion now, it's that sure, if it arises to analyze or think about these things or research stuff, or think about it when I interact, then that's what's going to arise. But the solution and the peace is not going to be found from figuring out if they're narcissistic or immature or how I reacted then to that. It's not in figuring out patterns. That's not going to be necessary for a dissolution of the suffering or of the patterns. What is necessary is only to recognize, oh, this is happening, and then the rest will be done by itself. And there's no need to ever go into analysis, self-analysis, like, YouTube research or thinking when I'm interacting with them. Oh, right.
Oh, there is no
Remember
need.
this.
There is no need.
Mm-hmm.
It's very simple. If you want to be with someone, you are with this person. If you don't, you leave. And if you can't leave, you have no choice. So there is nothing to ask. It's very simple.
I missed your sentence. It's very simple that if you want to be with someone, then what?
If you enjoy being with someone, be with this person. If you don't enjoy, leave. And if you can't leave because you're in jail, for example, and you have imposed relationship, well, then there's no question of leaving or not leaving because here they are. So relationship is very simple from that perspective. But when you try to analyze, to solve, and all of it become very messy because to analyze, you need a reference. You need a reference, you need a foundation to start to analyze a situation. But the foundation itself is the roots of the suffering. So there is no end into analyzing because there is no end in if you don't see this, analyzing it's really meaningless.
In other words, even if I find a tap analyzer who will definitively tell me all the patterns that they have and I have, it's not going to be the end of it because there's always a new reference point. There's always a new whatever.
Yeah. But I'm surprised. Can you not see that you are in your own experience and you yourself cannot understand the patterns that emerge? But you believe that someone that is not you, that is not in contact with your experience, will be able to do that for you?
Yeah, I'm always doubting my own perception and wanting someone else to confirm for me. But yeah. Um, yeah, it does sound ridiculous when you put it that way. So that's helpful. Um, so you're saying the answer lies not in the realm of thought, it's just in seeing, and that will dissolve it. If there's any painful pattern, then just keep on seeing it. And
Yeah. But but I'm not denying tools. They are great tools that can support this sensitivity, that can support this seeing. And in fact, your very life is the tool. So every situation, challenge, person, uh, uh, conflict, struggle that emerge in your experience is the tool to be more sensitive. Is life teaching to itself, you know, um, to come back home. So I think the easy way it's you if there is peace, feel the peace, and if there's struggle, feel the taste of struggle. But the dilemma is that when there is peace, we, we start to think about what can I do to not lose this peace in the future. So then I'm not in peace and anxiety. And when there is struggle. I'm in the future again because I want the peace that will be in the future. So I'm never enjoying anything finally. If you are peaceful, lonely in a park and life is beautiful, like you say enjoy this. You don't have to think about what will happen tomorrow. You know what happened tomorrow, you don't know. Maybe it will be easy all your life. Why not?
So, in other words, you're saying if I went to therapy for a year or two, or if I did a lot of research on YouTube and they called my attention to certain patterns, that's not that that's causing more sensitivity. So that's okay, even though the sensitivity is within the realm of the story. So is that still something that's helpful or useful, or is it all just story and none of that has any use? I guess I'm just getting a little
You
bit
see,
confused between life
yeah,
and this stuff, and I'm not sure where the
you have to perceive that you are the one giving value to your own interpretation.
Hmm.
So you're asking me a validation of your own conclusion, and 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 no one can give you really a validation about this. Whatever makes sense for you makes sense for you.
Yeah, I guess I'm saying from my perspective, I can look from the human perspective and say, do I feel that this has value on that level? But I guess I'm asking you as a non-dual person, like, is this just me revolving in a circle more in story and this will never get me free? Or does that, or does anything on the human level that brings more sensitivity on the human level, whether it's being more sensitive in playing an instrument or more sensitive to and attuned to and aware of other people and relationships, any fine tuning on the human level, is that of value to the life? And a second question, does
Yeah,
any of that
no, but
relate to
wait, I will answer
non-duality?
this one. I will answer this one first. From my perspective, you are taking things from uh, in the wrong order. You are saying, I'm not sensitive. What can I do to become more sensitive? I'm telling you, I understand this perspective, but it is often fostering suffering and confusion. It's easier to say, I am sensitive already. So to what I'm sensitive right now? And then let this sensitivity express itself in the way that makes sense.
Yeah, I guess because there is so much suffering and confusion, I turn to outside people to say, hey, am I on the right track here? Like, I don't want to explore what I see. I'm like, done with that. I'm like, what do you see? Because I clearly am not doing something wrong because I have this anxiety and tension and story, suffering, and my life doesn't look how I would want it. So, but you're saying,
Exactly. It is this sentence, my life doesn't look the way I wanted, is one of the core of your beliefs. You hold an image of how life should be. And then you feel terrible because life does not look like that. I'm trying to point to you that life have no form. So any expression is as much valuable as another. So you're absolutely free to from any specific appearance.
right, but I guess I'm asking you which one would lead to less suffering or to realization. In other words, you know what I'm saying? Or you're saying the
Yeah,
fact
but
that I would say to myself, the very fact that I think that any day needs to look a certain way is the source of my suffering. And if I just said, hey, what shows up
exactly.
today, that's okay. If today, like I couldn't get out of bed, that's fine. If today there was a war in my country, that's fine. If today a dog came or didn't come, that's what happened today, and that's all that happened, no more, no less, and then I'd be fine, kind of.
Yeah, I think this is the first step. Yeah. But then you will see war is not war, and bed is not being in a bed, and all of this. All of this is stories. But yeah, the first step is really to realize exactly what you say right now. To see the interpretation, the layer of thoughts is really interpretation. And then it won't life to be like that. So this is what we call thought is playing God.
It's very, very true, although it was done always in the name of God, because religion says do X and Y, and you'll know you're being good because God will make it rain when it's supposed to. Everything will be right in your universe if you're doing the right thing. And if things aren't right, if there's pain, if there's suffering, if there's whatever, clearly you're doing something wrong. So I think that's where it all emanates from, the belief that if I was doing something right, um,
Yeah,
yeah,
we are doing something wrong in the sense that we are misidentify we identify with with a person that is a thought. We believe that we are our thoughts, that we are our sensation, that we are our perceptions. That's the what we do is not a doing, but that's the core of the confusion. And that's what I'm trying to point to you.
I'm not saying necessarily that I am, but like if I have chronic illness, that means I'm doing something wrong in my mind or my actions. In other words, or else things would be perfect. But it is a bit of a
Try
childish notion, and it is
try
also
try
playing
to take
God. You're right.
there's an example. Let's try to make an example if it's maybe it will work. Let's take a person that believe itself to be a cat, right? It drink only milk, it work, on the hand and feet, you know. So it is completely under the belief that it is a cat. But it is miserable because cat do not accept him, other cats, you know. Other cats run away from him and all of this. So it's very messy, his life is very miserable as a cat, right? So he go to the to the psychologist, right, to find a solution to this. And he starts with the story, I'm a cat, but I'm a very lonely cat. I don't find the cat's friends, and there is no owner who want to invite me in his home. So I am a street cat, and my life is very difficult because it's difficult to hunt for rats. They're very fast, and I'm a poor cat, and I'm not running as fast as other cats. And he has this whole story that his cat's life is terrible. But yeah. So then he asked the psychologist, how can I be a better cat? So now the psychologist it's in a very strange position because this is a human, it's not a cat. So all of the trouble and problem that this person want to resolve as a cat come from one single confusion. I am a cat. So now the the psychologist have two choices in front of him, kind of, and that's the two main tradition in non-duality. The one is to accept and to play the game that okay, you are a cat, and I will show you slowly that you don't have a claw, right? That you don't have feather, like a cat. You are bigger than a cat. I will show you slowly show you all of I will show you the fact that you are not a cat very slowly, but I will play the game, right? Also, drink milk, that's fine. You can do this. And I will play the game, your game. And we play in your confusion, trying to point gently toward the fact that you're not a cat, right? And the other approach is all of those problems, you can do whatever you want to resolve them, that's fine. But all of them will be resolved by themselves when you realize you're not a cat. And that's what I'm trying to point to you, in the sense that everything you do as a person is fine. Whatever the impulse of the person, the trouble, the challenge, the desires. I want this, I don't want that. I want a better life. I want a better days. I want peace on earth. I want great. That's perfect. That's fine. But what is this person that you're talking about? Where it is? And if you investigate, you will see that you are in contact with thought, sensation, and perception, and there is nothing personal or individual, or nothing personal about that.
So I guess we're back to what's left to do is just observe and notice that, watch the body move, watch the mind's thoughts happen, and just see what's happening and try as best I can to not identify or just not even think about identification, but just not go into the stories and not obsess about, like, not try to solve anything, just observe the patterns happening and try as best as I can to not get sucked into, this is me and I have to solve it, and just kind of, as much as I can, step back and look at it. Would that be, because, like, in your story, the person is still there with other cats. He's watching like, what else do we do? It's not like we can get out of the human realm. So you're saying that is not me. So what is left for me to do? How do I interact with the human realm? Do I just observe and try not to get sucked in?
So you have to understand in which context is the human realm appearing. That's why the doing, if you want, is the exploration of to engage directly with experience without the interpretation framework, without framework, to learn to be sensitive to experience as it is more right now and constantly. And that's the freedom
Can you say that again? Can you repeat the last sentence?
to engage with your experience without reference frame, without the conceptual frame. Because experience has a texture. So to feel the texture of experience directly without conceptualize it or making interpretation.
So in your example with the psychiatrist, it would just be that the person would go about his daily life as a human, just not comparing himself to what a cat should be, and then he'd be fine, kind of thing.
In this example, I don't know if it was very good, but this example would be go in front of a mirror, look in the mirror, and tell me what you see. Do you see a cat or do you see a human being? You
Right.
know, do
Right. But then
you
what would his life look like? He would live life as a human being, and the only difference would be that he's no longer telling himself, I need to drink milk and run after cats. In other words, he wouldn't be overlaying an expectation for his life.
exactly nothing changes because he was not a cat, so nothing changed. He's just not mad anymore. That's all. He understand. He was he is what he is, and he was taking himself for something he was not, and now he understand what it is again. but nothing changes. Experience still being what it is. That's
And
why nothing changed, but everything is different.
so, like right now, do you feel that you are, oh, here's Tammy asking these crazy questions again. I have to solve this. Or are you like observing this happening? Like, what do you feel yourself to be in this moment or going through your day? Do you feel yourself as harried and having to solve things, or do you just sit back and watch a movie show? Like, how do you experience the human life?
My assumption, because I'm not sure about how other people experience their life, and I'm not even sure that there is other people. But how I experience is there is this human life expressing itself, like like all human bodies. You know, you go to toilet, you eat, you have this, you have that that appear. You take mainly the human life is taking care of the body. You have to eat, take shower, wash your teeth. You know, you you have to uh, to go to the bathroom, to drink water. You have to go out. You have to sleep. You have to do this. I mean, most of the activities about taking care of the body, and that's like everyone. It doesn't change anything. And the biggest difference is there is a deep understanding of what is happening, which right now is there's an experience that is appearing, and there's this infinity that is here at this very moment. And this infinity, this unfathomable mystery that is present, has the shape of be sitting in a chair in front of a screen in a room. There's no thought about the past, there's no thought about the future. There's no concern about what you understand or what you should understand, what I understand. You know, none of this arise.
So, in general, going through the day is just not thinking about the past or the future and just dealing with what's present. And there's not so much anxiety about that.
But there's no anxiety about the future because where it is.
Mm-hmm.
And
Okay. Yeah.
yeah, so that's why you have to explore thoughts very carefully because thought is time. And anxiety, it's about, and fear, it's about the future, right? Resentment, it's about the past,
Mm-hmm.
and guilt, it's about the past. But to imagine a future, you have to use the past. You have to use memory to imagine a future. So the future is not the future. The future is the past. Do you
Mm-hmm.
understand? So you have to
Mm-hmm.
be vigilant to the quality of how thought express itself, which is with time, identity, and control. That's the three main kind of mood that arise with thoughts. It is not because it is arising that it is a fact. I will ask if
So,
there is other question, Tammy, and if there is no other question, we can keep it on, okay, Tammy?
mm-hmm.
Because I want to open to other people who, if they have questions. Again, that doesn't seem to have a question. Do you have, do you still have sharing a question, Tammy?
I would just ask, I would just say thank you for your sharing and generosity and kindness. And I would just say, in light of my current craziness, I mean, in light of my current what's going on with me, what would be a good practice for me for the week, especially as I'll be spending time with family of origin and away and all kinds of triggering stuff. What would be a useful way of looking at things or exploration? Because I'd like to explore a new way of doing and being.
No one is responsible for how you feel. So your emotional states have your emotional state have nothing to do with others out there. Doing or not doing. Doing what you don't want and not doing what you want. Has nothing to do with other people. That's very, very strong if you can have this realization with your family.
So, what is causing my emotional states? My own thoughts, and do I need to then figure out my thoughts and fix them?
It's your interpretation and your expectation and your assumption and your desires, your thoughts.
So, what can be done?
To see the nature of thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
A thought is a thought. The thought, think about a banana right now. You can close your eyes, and if an image arises, it's a thought. Right? It's a concept. It's a conceptual image, right? Or if you think about what is a banana, it comes from the tree, it is yellow, it has this texture, this and all of this story. But think about a banana. Is it heavy? Is it emotionally heavy to think about the banana?
I mean, I can make it emotionally heavy if you'd like, but originally, no.
No. And now think about your mother. What you think about her, where she come from, the image that come, the love or the hate, all of this, if it arises, her behavior, what she have done, what she have not done, what you wanted her to, all of this and all of the story. Is it heavy
Next,
to think about your mother?
next to the banana, it seemed neutral, but if I start to think about it, it'll get flavors. But
That's exactly what I mean.
yeah.
A thought is a thought. I thought about a banana and I thought about my family is a thought.
Mhm.
The relevance, the morality, the emotion do not come from my family. Just as if you think about the banana and there is emotion that arises, it has nothing to do with the banana. So
And
what
any more,
do? You see the nature of thoughts.
right. And then the second thing is what you said before about taking any morality or judgment out of their actions and out of how my day goes and saying anything that happens is God and not to play God and say they should behave a certain way or my day should look a certain way or Tammy should be a certain way. In other words, taking any judgment out of what happens during those days.
Well, the trick is thought will keep thinking. 'Cause that seemed to be a natural aspect of experience. Because thought will be there, judgment will be there. But remember, if you judge your mother, it's like judging a banana. This banana should be more yellow. Okay, it's a judgment. But who cares? It's a thought. I don't care. My mother should have been more present. I don't know. It's meaningless. It's a thought. You see? It's very simple. When you start to see it, you will see it's so obvious.
But like people excluded me or lied to me or hit me. In other words, all these things, it seems like actual causing of damage or harm or exclusion or not niceness. Like,
Mhm.
Again, it's just the thought that's causing the problem.
Yeah.
But then do you ever educate your child, or if you've ever taught children, do you ever educate them to right or wrong or good or bad?
Do you have children?
I deal with children all the time.
Do you have a children?
Um, I do not, but I grew up
So
being told I'm in charge of my siblings. So it
you
was
don't
like my
have
children.
you don't have to think about this. That's
Um,
that's that's really the way.
but I take care of children a lot.
Ah, great. So you like that.
What?
You like to take care of children.
I do.
Yeah, so follow your heart and it will come naturally.
Hmm. But once you have any judgment, then I don't know. It seems a bit removed from life. Like,
But what is removed from life is to build an imagination in your thoughts
yeah.
and try to control your environment and your
Yeah.
relationship to match your own imagination. That is being disconnected from others in life. To be connected to life is to be to see what's happening, which is experience that is right here. And to see that one aspect is this imagination that arises. And the good and bad is not for education for children. There is an education, but it's not a moralistic education. It's a mechanistic education. If a children cannot is not able to control his anger and start to hit people and break
Hmm.
things,
Hmm.
mechanistically is bad for him because he will have less toys. So he will feel bad after for breaking his own toys. And if he hit other children or other people, people will reject him constantly. So he will feel bad also and guilty for his incapacity of expressing his anger in a positive way, in a more a sociable way. So it's better for him to control his anger, to learn his anger. But it's not a good and bad in a moralistic perspective. It's a good and bad in a it's mechanistic.
You're saying natural consequences, and if they don't learn by touching the stove, me screaming is not going to help, or telling them not to touch it. You're saying they have to learn by life, not by being told.
Exactly. You don't if you teach your children that fire burns, it's not a moralistic education. It's mechanistic. If you put your hand in fire, it's not good for your body. I mean, it has nothing to do with being good or being bad. It's a better way of living. So when a children hasn't learned the, the damage of fire, and he put his hand to fire, he will burn himself. So then you have to teach him. Apparently you don't understand that fire burns, so I will show you the way. But that's the same for tension, for emotion, for food, for aggressivity, from all of this. It's not, it's not a bad kid. It's not bad kids. There is simply dysfunctional bodies walking around. And we are all dysfunctional in one way or another. So it's not a judgment again. But that's more education, which I like also because I have a children. So it's very fun. It's great.
Yeah,
And
but even simple
basically,
things like don't throw things on the floor, don't litter, like even like anyway, it doesn't matter. What were you going to say?
But basically, the intention, it's from where your interaction with the children or with the people, even more with the children, is more important than really what you do or the way you are doing it.
Hmm. Yeah, and I was more asking just for consistency across all platforms. In other words, if we're saying there's no judgment, but does that also apply to kids? In other words, or are you saying in this situation there is right or wrong or in that? But so thank you for that's helpful just because, to bring this perspective along all parts of my life to understand like how you
Yeah.
would see it or whatever. So that's helpful. Um, okay. So what I'm taking
Well,
with me,
that's
yeah.
why often people love babies often, because it's easier to perceive in babies that the baby do not have judgment toward us, and it's kind of it has it is the symbol of innocence, a symbol of innocence. Yeah, but it's possible to perceive people that way, because when someone judge me, he's not judging me, he's judging itself. It has nothing to do with me, just like a baby has, you know. We are all deeply innocent. Or the being that we are is completely innocent of whatever drama is happening here. Oh, Sarah have a question.
Okay.
Yes, Sarah.
Yeah, hi. So one time, I think it was in writing, you said that language doesn't happen through words, something it's happening in another way. And I think what I understood from that, and I kind of had a sense of that before, was that there's something that initially happens, and then sort of language sort of has this is like so hard to describe, but uh, okay, let me just see. So the reason I'm asking this is because a lot of the time I kind of have a feeling like I'm sort of what the other person is going to say, and they say those exact words and those exact sentences, and I could feel sort of their intention. I don't know. It's just very, very clear to me that there's something happening, like beneath the words or before that, or there's something that within them, or with it's not really through words. So I wanted to hear your thoughts on that, if you have any.
Yeah, I mean that's uh, communicate the biggest part of communication is not verbal. So yeah, completely. I mean, and you can perceive this in many ways when you can have, you know, you can experience a situation that can feel threatening, for example, in the moment, but when you talk to the situation to someone and you try to explain what this person was saying, you realize that this person wasn't saying anything dangerous, but there was something in the environment. There was something in his behavior. There was something. But all of this
Exactly.
is it's the non-verbal communication. It's because communication really is not through bodies. Communication is is instantaneously. So there are people, maybe you are one of them, who are way more intuitive and they are way more connected to this field, and they can feel other things happening.
Exactly. Yeah. What I feel is there's always a conversation happening on the surface, and there's always a real conversation happening beneath, before that, or beneath that, or however you want to say that. There's something that is happening very, yeah, right there before anything is added on. And then there's a lot of words, and you're, it's uncomfortable because it's constantly you're feeling the gap or a discrepancy or something that's not united with what's actually happening. So there's words, and the person is trying to present something, but it's not actually what's being said, you know? So, so that's it for me.
Yeah, but that's why the importance to learn to stay in your, I will say something that is stupid, but to stay in your own experience because you cannot get out of it. Okay, but it's it's a way of speaking. And you have to understand that another person cannot disturb you if you don't allow it first, if you don't somehow accept the disturbance as your own.
See, this is where I have a problem because I don't understand how that's possible because there's not a clear boundary. So what I'm saying is there never has been a clear boundary where I end and they begin. It sort of was, it's one field, right? It's one mind. It seems to be happening sort of all together. And so, so I have to pretend that there's something between me and them. There really isn't. And so in what way am I shutting out except in imagination?
Oh, it's not. It's more to understand that if I meet someone and I feel uncomfortable, the sensation of uncomfortable is happening here.
Yeah.
In me. The mind will say, if you want this uncomfortable sensation to leave, you have to do this, and this with this person, and then you go into to the conceptual frame trying to resolve it, right? So first and foremost, if it's really dangerous or too much or too uncomfortable, I mean, don't force yourself to stay in relationship of abuse, right? Because this is stupid. But if it's not in that kind of situation, you can really feel that. Oh, I feel uncomfortable, and it seemed to be this person. The cause of this emotion seemed to be outside this person, the situation, this environment, all of this, and try to stay with the emotion and really start to feel where is the causation really, and you will see you will not find causation because you are having a sensation and you are having thoughts and perception, and all three is happening in you. So you're right to say it doesn't come from the other. It seems to imply that there is someone else outside. It's kind of it's also, it's kind of to be supportive. But the more you see that, oh, I perceive this person and she seemed to have this behavior, this emotion, this stuff, and you see, and in me, I don't feel this. I perceive this in my environment, right? Maybe it's a dangerous environment, but I don't feel fear or danger within me. Also, because there is a perceptual field, and there is the direct engagement with experience.
But I do feel it. I do feel what they're feeling. It's very clear to me. Like I could actually there's so many sub cues. You already know what my body feels. It mirrors back what they're feeling.
Yeah, and that's what I'm telling you. Try to own those feelings and do not say it's their feelings. Because how do you know?
Exactly. Okay, so gets so complicated because I've been in really tricky situations and really abusive places where I shouldn't have been at all, and it really, I mean, it took a toll. It did a lot of damage, and so I needed to know. I needed then not to say this is mine. You know, I needed to just get the hell out of there. It just was like, and at that point,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that's why there is, I mean, for example, if there's a tiger in the room, I am aware that the fear doesn't come from the tiger. The tiger is being a tiger. And he will eat me or he may maybe not eat me. That depends on his anger and my strength or whatever, or survival. But the fear is within me, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that would be stupid to stay there trying to somehow, be free of fear. Doesn't make sense. So it's not because I say this that you have to stay in a cage with a tiger if you have the possibility to run away.
Yeah, and in fact, that would have exactly, if it were more simple, if I could understand, okay, they're predatory creatures, and then you just, when there's one around and you're getting some kind of signal, you know,
Yeah,
just
and they
listen.
exist, and that's true.
And they
That's true.
exist,
They're
and
out there.
right. And my thing was that I was in kind of, so I went into all these, I made it too complex. Like it became a story. It became sort of what I wanted to see, what I did see underneath, because there were other things alongside the predator. It was what made them into a predator, right? So I was tuning into that, but I remember, like, what you're saying reminds me of like what after a while, it was so clear, something just very visceral came up in me, and it was the animal sort of, the animal direct instinct, and it was clear. It was a very, very strong fear, like that was signaling that. And it was like dropping below a story that had happened for like, I don't know, many, many months. It just was, and that's what I needed to be in touch with the entire time. So anyway, yeah, so that was.
But that's why I was sharing with Tammy that you are free to do whatever you want, and you do not have to save anyone. So if you feel fear in a situation, if you can run away the best of your ability, why not? You know,
Yeah,
because who will be judging this behavior? You again. Who will be judging if you stay? You again. So everything is within you. That's why this is the not only understanding, it's the absolute freedom. Which you ask, what do I do? What is good? There is nothing good, there's nothing bad. That mean that you can do whatever you want and you cannot do whatever you want. This is, this is just whatever is happening and it's happening. And
yeah, and
that's
this is
the
where,
freedom.
yeah, and this is like kind of where I think the sensitivity to understand, well, I don't know if that's an understanding, but for me, the fear it wasn't clear that it was fear. I thought it was excitement or love or something like that, like something of those hormones. And then
Yeah.
and I think a lot of people with trauma, they misinterpret those signals. So I didn't trust it, or I didn't know what it was. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly, because what you are sharing is we are attached to the layer of thoughts in different ways, and everyone is kind of has his own ways of engage with that. But if you have attachment issue, you will hold very tight to the story, and to the drama and all of this.
Yeah.
And that's why it's important to. That's why we start with thoughts and then we go through the emotion to get to the sensation. And when you are more and more in sensation, you will start to feel more what you are sharing. Like you will feel that you will allow the natural impulse to be there. If you are in a place and you want to leave because you feel the impulse, you just leave. And there is no explanation that you have to give to no one. Doesn't matter where you are, what's happening. I have to leave. Why? Because I have to leave. I don't have to explain myself to anyone. This is what is right for me. That's it.
And then the grief that's remaining from all this stuff, does that ever go away completely? Some remnant of those things, because this is really, it really keeps haunting me. It's not something that could just disappear. So even if I'm not thinking about it consciously, it's in my dreams. And there's a lot of.
Yeah. No, sorry, I interrupt you. Yeah.
No, just about that grief. The grief seems to be there, but the grief, I don't know if it's connected to, maybe that's the grief is really the heartache from which all of this started. Like, why did I even get into these situations? Because there's a core belief about my essential, like, unlovability or something like that keeps this going. So maybe the heartache and the grief is that it's that initial thing that was in childhood or very, very early on.
Yeah, but you don't need to think too much about this. You have feel the grief as it is in the moment. Allow the grief to overwhelm you completely.
I do feel it. It goes on for it could go on for hours. I think I'm better at some point it dissipates, and it used to go on for months and months at a time. But it still comes up very sharply in my heart. It's a raw sensation. It's not even an emotion anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's the point. And over time, there is some kind of it's spread out and things change and new challenge emerge and this is experience. Experience is constantly moving, shifting, and experience is trying to find itself. It is trying to find a more harmonious way of being with itself. But it's going on for 30 billions of years, or 30 billions and billions of years. So
Yeah, so it might not
it's a long game, you know.
Yeah, exactly. So what you're
That's
saying, it might not
fine.
resolve. It might not resolve in this lifetime, is what you're trying to say.
But
Like,
what I'm trying to point, it's the whole story is appearing within you, right? It's really like when you read a book, when you take a book, the whole book is written, right? Everything is written. It can be very complex. It can start with but it's everything is written. But when you open one page, you have one image of it. You have one place, and times start to happen, and there is drama and all of it. But all of this happen within the limitation of the book. And that's what's happening here. We have a very, very small fraction of this infinite experience that is happening right now. But really nothing's happening, just like the book. The book, it's just symbol on white pages, but the pages are white. But when you open, it seems to have a drama character and David and his arc of whatever story it's telling himself and all of this. But that's not really important. What is really important is this story is happening in something. And what is the essence of that thing? Well, this is what you are. This is, what we call presence or being. That's where everything comes from.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's okay. Oh, I want to go further, but I think you have to end, right? Yeah. I just wanted to ask you.
Can you feel it? Can you feel what I'm talking about?
Okay, give me a minute.
Can you feel this presence that is here? That is untouched by all this drama. Oh,
I feel presence.
Yeah. Okay, tell me.
I feel a presence, but I'm not sure if it's what you're talking about. It's just what's here, but it does seem to be located. I think we had this discussion over and over. It seems to be like
Okay, no, make it very simple. You don't have to agree it's right or wrong.
No. I'm not disagreeing. No, I'm just like this is how I describe it every time you ask me. So I don't know how to describe it differently. This is kind of what comes up for me. So
yeah, that's fine. I'm just you feel that you are present. So there is presence is a fact of experience. Before thought, I'm present. It's just a fact. I don't have to think to be present because I'm present. I have to be present for thought to be present, to be aware of anything. So there is presence. And then there is obviously experience. To negate experience is absurd because right now you are having an experience. What is it? We don't know, but there is the texture of experience and there's a texture of presence. And those are the two only facts that we have.
it feels a lot like
all of the drama is within those two facts.
Yeah.
It's like the two, I don't know how you say in English, but the two parts of the book, right? Is the front and the back. Present and experience, and in between is the drama, but it's not,
And what's the warmth? Is that just of the body, or is there some sort of warmth that feels deeper than that?
Meaning, are you sharing or what?
I'm asking you, does it have a quality of that? Is that a quality of presence? well, you said presence is just presence. That's the only quality. And I remember that because I think people describe it differently, but I'm asking if it ever has other qualities like warmth. And then another thing, like this intimacy, which is not human intimacy. It's like an underlying intimacy, which I sensed my entire life. And I'm wondering if this is to do with presence.
That's your experience. That's up to you to discover. And that's also up to you to use words that make sense for you. This is poem. It's not about accuracy anymore.
Why isn't it about?
To me, because it's, who am I to say you are right or you are wrong? If it's warmth, you know, and feel very intimate, well, beautiful. I mean, why not?
Well, because if it's universal, then we should be having a similar experience. I'm not talking about my own individual experience, right? I mean,
yeah, maybe it's similar, but the way we express with words will always be different.
hey, what about this? I really want to know about this underlying intimacy because I once caught a whiff of it. I mean, I always sensed it, but then I caught a whiff of this thing that I've never experienced before. And it was the closest word I could come up with was intimacy. And I think it's of this thing that you're talking about, this sort of, I don't know, because really, if we're having a conversation that's not even in words, then you're in me and I'm in you. I mean, there's more, but then I don't feel that day to day, and I want to feel that because I think that's the way it is, right?
Yeah, but that's beautiful that you, because you feel like intimacy because you share some difficulty with relationship and abuse, but often we search for intimacy in our partner, in other person, a man or a woman, in sex,
Right.
in our children, in this and that. But true intimacy is what I feel that you are pointing to, is the intimacy of your own being. And it's you are always with your own self. So you are always completely one with life. And there is no more intimate that being, you know, that, that being what you are. And it's a profound experience. It's a beautiful and profound and very powerful realization.
Huh. Thank you.
So you see it's not about quieting the mind. When this intimacy appears, when you start to feel your own presence, it's so delicious. It's so huge, it's so infinite and wonderful and tasty and luscious, and is that it override completely the little game we play of my life.
Yeah, and this
My
is why I
life,
wanted.
my life's still there, maybe somewhere, but it just who cares, you know? It's just like, what is this? Beautiful, wow. Oh, wow. And there is this seduction of your own being calling you and calling you and calling you. And the drama still go on or doesn't go on, but it's not really relevant. And that's the beauty of this message. That's why that's the only context that I can use the word love. It is love calling you back itself.
Well, and this is where I want to sink really, really deeply into it because I don't want to, because I was confusing that in the past. I thought it is through another human. I mean, that was my number one seeking method, you know, to go after that. And now I think this is what I was looking for. It's different. It's not, yeah, I don't even know that that's the word, but I felt something like that. I didn't have a frame of reference for it because I just didn't experience that before, but it felt so, like you're saying, so enticing, and it was just,
Yeah. You don't need to put words onto it. You don't need to analyze. You don't need to do anything. You need to. This is the sensitivity. Be with this. When it appears, enjoy it completely. Enjoy it completely and bath yourself into it and taste it and enjoy it completely.
But I'm
And
also
then
have a very,
it will leave, it will come back, it will leave, it will come back,
yeah,
and who knows?
yeah. So that's
If
where
you're
this,
attached to it, it goes faster. If you think, how can I get it faster? It will seem far away.
yeah, that's exactly what I was
So
going to
that's
say. Yeah,
why you relax. That's why it's a relaxation. It's the ease of being. The more you ease in your own presence, the more it will kind of like soak your own you experience into this intimacy, into this tenderness, constantly, and your experience start to shift and change, and it's beautiful.
and what about the yearning for that? Like, what do I do with that? It's really, really strong. It feels like what you're describing, that it pulls you in, but it also feels like unrequited love. It feels like it's there, but not quite,
Yeah.
because I can't access it all the time. Like I'm still stuck, I'm not, and didn't shift over in the way that you did.
That's the story appearing.
Yeah.
That's the layer of thought appearing again. But you have to understand that this layer of thought is appearing within this field of intimacy. It's not hiding anything.
So how come I can't always feel it?
By dropping the intention to feel it constantly.
Yeah.
Because when you want something in the future. So you're saying it's not here. So it's a little bit about time, a little bit about different. There is different way that you can approach it. But mostly, when it's there, enjoy it completely. And when it's not there, well, enjoy what is there. Just it will come back, and when it come back, just feel it. But relax about the whole thing. And that's what I try to teach here and in what I'm offering.
And the sense that you have, though, continuously is just a kind of peace that comes from presence. Is that all?
I don't know.
No.
To be sure that I have it constantly, you have to live with me 24/7. Then you will know if I'm always like
No, but
that. Who knows?
I'm asking. No, I mean, you're aware of your experience. Now you don't know if you have this. Well, okay, but I mean, you described that you're in this sort of more expanded state. The way I'm putting
No,
words to
no,
it.
no. I don't know. I never say this. I say I'm aware of thought. I'm aware of my experience, but you are aware of your experience. There's nothing more here than there is there. There's no more presence here than there is presence somewhere else.
I mean, I feel that it is. Like um, I feel it more in you, like than I seem to feel it in myself. Maybe.
I think all of this is stories. Just feel the intimacy, enjoy it, and you will see what happens. At some point, it will take over your life.
Yeah, well, the dream.
Well, because it is already in charge.
What do you mean?
Because the idea of control and all of this, it's an idea. It's a thought.
To the way I can't step back into life in the same way that I was, and I can't fully land here in this kind of thing that you're describing, and so I'm not here nor there, and this is beckoning, this is calling, and yet I can't really move back. I can't. I'm sort of like in no man's land a little bit.
No, you are here with the confusion that you could be somewhere else. That's all. It's just one
Right.
thought. You have to notice thought. Thought is constantly playing you.
Okay, so you're saying it
You,
doesn't
but
feel.
us. I'm not saying you. I'm saying it's
Yeah.
it's constantly dropping concept and story and narration and things and this and that and this and that. Cause that just is nature. So there's no fighting about this. There's no argument about this. There is simply okay. But again, there's a banana appearing. I think about the banana. So what? I think I've lost this intimacy. So what? It's a thought. When I start to believe that I lost intimacy, that's where it gets messy. But if I know that's just one thought, because I know the thought I have lost, I'm lost in between. This thought, I'm completely aware of this thought, and I'm completely intimate with it because it's appearing in me, as me. When you perceive this thought start to reveal itself as the shining forth of your own being.
Hmm. And the innocence, that's part of that, or is that
Of
that does.
course.
Okay, so that does feel lost. I feel like that was with me almost. For some reason I can't seem to access it as much, or.
Yeah, but that's a thought again, because what you are is innocent, but thought is dropping constantly, thought, trying to build a story where you are guilty of something in the past. So you use the time to build a past. Then you say you are a person that was in that past, and that you were in control of whatever happened that past as a person, and you did the wrong choice, so you are guilty now. And you deserve to suffer. This is kind of the basic the basic ground of thoughts, yeah. To make it short, but there's one thought appearing now.
Yeah, it's not just a thought. It's like I'm
That
missing it. It feels like that's an aspect of my being that I miss. I remember how it felt. I remember being that. It felt the closest to what I am. And then I don't know. Maybe it is. Yeah, maybe it's stories. I'm not sure.
yeah, but if there is something in the past that was very interesting, it has to be now, because now is the only place where you can find anything, because we are always here and now. So you don't have to. So if there is something to be found, it has to be found here and now. So there's no need to do a big deal about this if you just see what is here, because you cannot be anywhere else.
Yeah,
That's
and
why
it doesn't.
that's why it's a direct engagement with experience, and you will see that everything is here, and you have lost. There's nothing you can lose, because where is this object gone? Because there's no past, there's no future. So there's you. Here you are. Here you are.
Yeah, yeah. And it doesn't look any certain way. It's just the fact that I'm aware and engaging so directly that it's me also, or something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because reality do not look like anything. So it's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
That's the third time that you say mm-hmm, and after there's a silence. So it's beautiful. We will stay here in this silence. And we just keep it on and close this meeting on this. Mm-hmm. And what goes behind is understanding. It's beautiful. Thank you everyone for your presence, and I hope to see you next week. Bye-bye. Bye.
Thanks so much.
Bye, Tommy.